Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on our Rise and Shine program. It's your boy Troy Gill, and of course you know how we do it. We have a fitness professional, Chris Williams, who's going to be leading us into a workout this morning to get your heart pumping, get your blood flowing, get you ready to start your day. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Promoters, here is a chance to boost your event or fete with MTV's irresistible television advertising specials. Book now and be wowed with party deals and good advertising coverage. Call our sales and marketing department on 440-8171 or via WhatsApp on 455-5718. You can also send an email at mtvmarketinggd@gmail.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Rise and shine.
All right, everybody, good morning. So we're at it again. Hope you have your dumbbells. If you don't have dumbbells, get a little bottle of water. Anything you could put in your hand so that we can get into this exercise this morning. So our legs are going to be wide. We're going to rock back and forth. Reach. Four, three, two, one, up. Four, three, two, one, pull. Four, three, two, bounce. Keep it low. Four, three, two, curl. Four, three, two, bounce again. You want to feel it in the legs. Hold it there, curl. Four, three, two, one. Dumbbells on your shoulders, reach the leg, out. Four, three, two, one, push. Four, three, two, one, up. Push. Four, three, two, alternate, let's go. Push. Up. Four, three, two, one. Back down, right here. Pull. Four, three, two, one. Bring your feet together, hands down. So we're gonna fly up. So you're turning your hand like you're pouring out milk. Right here. Let's go. Up. Slow. Up. 3, 2. We're gonna go faster with a step. Push. Four, 3, 2, 1. We're going to slow it down again. Up. Let's go. Stand tall. Right here. Right here. Let's go. 4, 3, 2, 1. With a step again, faster. Four, 3, 2, 1. Punch it out. Twist, come on. To the roof. Back down. To the roof. Back down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Both dumbbells up. Push forward. Push. 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 4, 3, 2. Faster. Four, 3, 2, 1. We're going to take the dumbbells, place the dumbbells down, legs wide, and we're going to pulse again. 4, 3, 2, 1. Side to side. Reach the hands. Keep it going. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it in. Step. Four, 3, 2, 1. Wide again. Keep it going, come on. 4, 3, 2, 1. Step. Four, 3, 2, 1. Pick up your dumbbells. Turn right here. Dumbbells down. Going down. 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 4, 3, 2, 1. Back down. Pulse. Bring it to the center. Pulse. Turn. Pulse. Four, 3, 2, 1. Hands up. Curl. Come on. Shoulders burning, biceps burning. Let's go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch sides. Four, 3, 2, 1. Up. Push. Push. Come on. 4, 3, 2, 1. Take your dumbbells, place your dumbbells down. So I want you to slow step, bring the heart rate down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Legs wide, down, pull it in, stretch. So you want to straighten your legs, reach all the way through. Over to the right side. To the left side. Turn, reach down. Place your hands up. Next side. Down. Hands up. Down. Bring it back to the center. Roll. Fold your hands and roll. Back and forth. Now you're going to come up. Roll the back. 4, 3, 2. All the way up. Lean back on it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands across the chest. Next side. Reach. Reach. Now we're going to go up and down. Up again. Up. Down. We're going to do a big one. Up. Reach up to the sky. Hold it on your toes. Deep breath. Bring it down hard. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you have a pleasant day.
All right, guys, so that was fitness professional Chris Williams leading us into a workout to get your heart pumping, get your blood flowing, get you ready to start your day. All right, guys, I just want to encourage you again, make sure that you're making healthy choices. Also, remember to stay hydrated. Thanks again for joining us, guys. See you again next time.
I'm Tony Julian with the details. The remains of the structure of the Grenville Old Church have finally been demolished and therefore no longer pose a threat to schools and residents in the area. Law News reporter Troy Gill visited the site on Monday and filed this report.
I am standing at the site of the old Grenville Catholic Church, also known as Old Church, that has been demolished for safety reasons. A building that has held sentimental and historical value for both the Catholic Church and residents in Grenville and St. Andrew. Following the collapse of the bell tower on Easter Monday, the remains of the old Catholic Church in Grenville, also known as Old Church, was taken down on Sunday. Minister for Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation, Andy Williams, spoke to our news team on Monday.
Well, first of all, about 2 weeks ago, we saw part of the remain of the church fell, and it fell into the road. And we thought it was necessary to take steps immediately to really remedy the situation. And on Sunday, that was yesterday, we decided to demolish the building, and we got a local contractor to do the job. And as a matter of fact, the process was sent out to tender, and Fari won the tendering process. So yesterday he came with his guys and he really did his best to demolish the building, in a safe manner.
The remains of the building will be temporarily stored at the Telescope Quarry, given its historical value, he says.
So the remains of the building will, as a matter of fact, from this morning, 9 a.m. this morning, it was expected that Fari will move those remains to a Telescope Quarry. And we placed it there because we wanted to place it in a safe place, because the contents are very historical. And the idea is not to leave it there, because if you leave the structure there and so that was demolished, you find all the dust and so around, and you have schools there. So we wanted to place it somewhere that it will be secured, and that's why we chose the Telescope Quarry, and we will decide what we do with the stuff going forward.
Prior to the demolition, the Easter holiday vacation was extended for the Grenville preschool, and a teacher in charge at the school, Glenna Douglas, shared with our news team how she felt knowing that the building no longer poses a threat to the students.
Well, personally, I'm very comfortable this morning to come in and work, because before it was taken down. It was dangerous for us, and then I had to be in charge of not just students, but staff too. Everybody's safety was in my hands, and that's a big responsibility, you know. So that extra week which we were granted, I was thankful, and I thought the ministry made a wise call by asking us to remain home until further notice.
Reporting from the site of the old church in Grenville St. Andrew, I am Troy Gill.
Meanwhile, a local community activist from Telescope St. Andrew says the use of the Telescope Quarry by government and the Catholic Church to store the remains of the old Grenville Catholic Church building is solely due to its historical and sentimental value, and that the quarry is not meant to be used as a dumping site for the remains, as some individuals claim. Here once again is Troy Gill with more.
According to reports, there have been several complaints by residents of Telescope St. Andrew on the plans of government to store the remains of the Grenville Old Church at the Telescope Quarry. However, a local community activist and longtime resident of Telescope, Mike Noel, sought to quell those concerns. According to Noel, he does not believe the quarry will be used as a dumping site but as a storage area, given that the quarry also holds historical value.
Putting the telescope, I wouldn't see it as a problem. I would see it as a means of what I'm doing up there. Remember, I'm trying to get it to be a heritage park. And you have a lot of value up there. And up there is a place I believe, once the stones is stored up there, it could remain safe until the church have the adequate time on their hands to do what they want to do with it. So putting that telescope, I see it as a hazard, because it is not, as we go say, it is not waste material. It is materials of value, and the church wants to preserve it and put it in a place that they know it will always be with it until they have use for it.
There is a section of the quarry where the remains can be stored in a safe manner, he says.
Well, the quarry is a big place, but my belief is that they will put it in the most secure place to put the stones is up on the center level. There is a floor up there, right? That's where the blasting the stones used to be being blasted out. There's a big floor up there. I believe up there is the most secure place to put it. Reason for me saying that is that to access anything up there, you have to go up, and up there is a place you don't just go and just move things. So inside there, I believe, to my belief, is that is a good place, the best place for them to put them stones in them to be safe.
He believes that the reason for the complaints is due to lack of consultation on the matter. However, he will seek to sensitize the community.
I haven't heard no comments come to me about it yet, but one of the reasons why I believe they might have a little disgust of it is because they are not given the highlights. Why the stones are being put there, and what is the significant importance of the stones. If they understand what is the importance of the stones, to Telescope people now, they believe things that want to be done there. So, for example, if we say waste, they go see it as something you throw like garbage. But the stones are barely not garbage. The stone is a very traditional stone, and it is to be put to them why the stones are placed in Telescope there as a means of holding, so that the value and the uses of the church for the protection of the church properties.
For MTV News, Troy Gill.
The family of Kimon Bell, who met his demise in an incident involving the Grenada Coast Guard a year ago, engaged members of the media on Monday as they continue to seek justice for their late relative. We have more in this report.
Sweet tears, tears in my heart. I have a peacemaker in my chest, I'm very sick. And he grieving me. To know, as the grandfather and the father of the child, to lose two of them in the space of 1 year. Two. Is that fair? That is not good and is not fair to me, but I live it in the name of the Almighty God. And I open for justice. I do not know if I will get it.
That was Kenneth Bernard, grandfather of Kimon Bell. It has been 1 year since Bell lost his life, and according to the family, justice is yet to be served. Speaking to the media, the family said they were told that a regional investigator was expected on island to conduct the investigations, but they were given no updates since.
I do not know if we're going to get some justice for the child. All I'm asking for in the state of Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, is justice for my little grandchild and the mother. Because the child dead, the mother grieved to death. Now, me, as the grandfather of the child, I've been working on the sea for 10 years as a seaman. And I know the sea rules and regulations. I know the purpose of the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard is to assist and to protect, not to use it as an executioner ship. But they use the Coast Guard to execute my grandchild. And you see now the Coast Guard have a reader. And you have a spotlight which you had to shine to see. Only you tell me 7 o'clock in the night you didn't see the little boy. I don't usually be here because I sick outside. When the incident occurred was in America. I came back here, they hold the child for about 3-4 weeks before they even release him. When they release him, we bury him, which is good. The mother take it on because she had cancer and she grieved to death. All they bringing me in the court here, there and everywhere, nothing. Up to now, nothing.
The father of Kimon Bell says he is tired of being quiet about the loss of his son and is calling on the relevant authorities for justice. The grieving father says his son's death was not an accident.
Because I just cannot understand what is going on in this country. The police been protected by who, I don't know. The police what execute my son still join the salary, monthly salary, and this is what calling on all the rulers and hitters of the Grenada, the pastors, the bishop, the ministers of this country. I calling on all your assistants, please deliver what is supposed to deliver, because I cannot understand how 3 bad apple gonna spoil the whole flock. I just cannot understand.
According to Carlson George, the now Prime Minister of Grenada campaigned on his son's behalf and is now calling on him with help for justice.
And Mr. Deacon, I follow your campaign. Your campaign with my son on your behalf. You put up PTS, moment of silence for my son. Now you're in the seat, calling on you. I want to know what you're doing towards that. Because I need justice. I need justice. I'm begging, please, the pastors, the priests, the bishop, all of you.
George says this is just the beginning of his campaign to get justice for his son, and he will not rest until justice is served.
Attorney-at-law Anselm Clouden, who's representing Calvin Frank, says that he may not be fit to plead and will be assessed by a psychiatrist. Frank was charged with the 7th of June 2021 brutal killing of Lindy Skinner Maureen in Jean Anglais, St. George. We have more in this report.
According to attorney-at-law Anselm Clouden, his client Calvin Frank may not be fit for trial. Frank was charged with non-capital murder and housebreaking in 2022, making it Grenada's first homicide in 2022. Anselm Clouden gave MTV News an update on this case.
That we would have to address, and it's an evidentiary aspect. And it's one of two things. He's either not fit to plead or not fit for trial. So that if he can't plead, he can't be tried. Fitness to plead.
Clouden said after his client is assessed by a psychiatrist, it will be determined whether he is fit to plead or not.
And that would have to be determined by a psychiatrist, whether he is mentally capable and has the capacity to follow his trial and his defense and understand what is taking place, the nature and quality of the proceedings. That would have to be determined. We have made certain requests. Yes.
Frank was 33-year-old driver of Springs, St. George, when he committed the crime. Nikita Hostin, MTV News.
In other news this evening, the Physical Planning Unit will transition into a statutory body from the 1st of May. This as government solidifies its role in Grenada's physical and structural planning. The new board members are Kenrick Fullerton, Chairman, Kenny John, Deputy Chairman, and the other board members are Malam Joseph, Philip Alexander, Lennox Archibald, Akaiba Joseph, Christopher Wint, Kevin Blanche, and Christopher Husbands. With budgetary allocations for the authority managed by the Ministry of Finance and its activities directed by the Board of Directors, the previous agency that was managed by the Physical Planning and Development Act 23 of 2017 will no longer serve. Deputy Chairman Kenny John says the launching follows 8 months of hard work and that the team is ready for the challenge ahead.
It's important for us to understand from whence we came. Operating as a government organization, a lot of the structures that ought to have been in place for development and control usually face a lot of turbulence, inefficiencies. That's one of the things that operationalizing this board and thus this authority we try and resolve. It is difficult in any stretch of the imagination to cope without engineers, to cope with a high level of professionalism, and certainly to cope with unclear directions. Thus, we have an unregulated construction industry.
As part of the transition, the statutory body will launch a new organizational structure and enhanced institutional framework. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure Development is Sylvia Thomas Bennett.
It will be responsible for developing and implementing policies and regulations related to land use, zoning, and building codes, among other things. Moreover, the authority will work closely with stakeholders from the public and private sectors to promote a culture of innovation and collaboration in the development of our physical infrastructure. It will also provide guidance and support to local communities to help them develop their own physical development plans in line with national goals and objectives.
Two main functions that will be added to the functions of the statutory body will be the Future Planning Unit and the Quality Control Unit to ensure that development is carried out substantially and beneficially in Grenada. $80,000 in cash and $20,000 in kind are up for grabs for the Power Soca Monarch 2023. The announcement was made during the media launch for SpiceMass 2023. Under the theme The Evolution, and according to the newly appointed CEO of SpiceMass Corporation, Cecil Noel, there is a focus to transform SpiceMass by fusing Grenada's unique heritage into modern expressions. Let's get more on it from Donella Houston.
SpiceMass 2023, The Evolution, will be officially launched on Friday, April 28th, as was announced on Monday, April 24th, by the recently appointed CEO of SpiceMass Corporation, Cecil Noel. In keeping with the theme, The Evolution, there are some changes that will be taking place this year, including an increase in prize monies to winners across the board. Addressing the gathering at the media launch on Monday, Noel explained this decision.
On a yearly basis, as I know it, having been involved in SpiceMass before this tenure, there is always consideration to increase prices by some level of percentage. Our prize money for the winner of the Power Soca has gone up to $100,000, and let me explain it. It has moved basically from 50 for the first place to 80,000, and that is in cash. So we hope that in itself will entice people. The other $20,000 is actually in value, in kind. So when we spoke earlier on of the winner of the Power Soca being able to represent Grenada overseas. These are some of the things we are doing additionally.
He also noted some of what can be expected going forward as they strive to do things differently this year.
Traditional mass is the backbone of our culture. Yes, our heritage. This year, you can expect to see more of our traditional mass, revolutionizing the quality of events. We're going to make sure events are started on time and that the execution of the events is seamless for all and drives increased participation. The evolution involves having more stakeholder meetings with all of the associations and persons involved in making Spice Mass what it is and what we all would want it to be going forward.
According to the CEO, this year there will be no competitions for fancy mass, but masqueraders will be able to parade on a stage which will be built at the Roy St. John playing field in Tantine. Representing the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture was Permanent Secretary Alva Brown, who pledged the government's support to Spice Mass to ensure that Grenada's carnival remains top in the region. The official launch will take place on Friday at the car park of the National Stadium and will see performances from soca, groovy and calypso artists. This launch is expected to be a prelude to just some of what can be expected for Spice Mass 2023. Reporting for MTV News, I am Donella Hosten.
It was another massive turnout for this year's Grenada Cooperative Bank's Pump It Up Walk on Sunday. At the end of the walk, which concluded at the National Stadium, our news team spoke with Co-op Bank's Erica Hostin, who said the large turnout was expected as he returned from their 3-year break, which was largely due to the pandemic.
Well, we had, as you can see, an excellent turnout. It is exactly what we expected after having that 3-year break. People were excited to come out and to be on the road and to start walking again. The numbers are similar to that of previous years, and our MD in his speech this afternoon would give a breakdown in terms of the participation and the contribution. Of course, the contribution to the fund is dependent on the number of persons registered.
Erica Hostin, Manager for Marketing and Customer Insight at the Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited, speaking to our news team following the bank's 13th annual Pump It Up Walk, which culminated at the National Cricket Stadium on Sunday evening. With the fund for the re-establishment of the Carlton Home standing at $350,000 prior to the walk, it is the hope of the bank to raise even more funds to get them closer to their $500,000 target. This year, according to Hostin, the bank opted to raise its contributions.
This year, for the first time, the bank has increased its contribution. Previously, we gave $1 per mile per registered person. This year, we increased that to $1.50 per mile. Additionally, all funds collected from the sale of packages will go directly into the fund. So you will notice a significant increase in the bank's contribution to that fund.
Following the walk, there was a brief ceremony where prizes were awarded to participants from different categories. Notably, over the years, the Grenada Cooperative Bank's Pump It Up Walk has made significant contributions to a number of different health-related charities, including the Grenada Heart Foundation, Grenada Diabetes Association, Grenada Kidney Foundation, and many others. Reporting for MTV News, I am Donella Hosten.
27 finalists have been selected to be part of this year's Rotaract Club Spelling Bee competition. According to Vondi Cyrus, president of the Rotaract Club of Grenada, they were pleased with the number of schools participating in this year's Spelling Bee competition. And at the semi-finals on Saturday, the 29th of April, they're expecting keen and exciting competition indeed.
In terms of participation, I must say this year it's been a good number because coming from COVID, I know, and coming from the last competition in 2018, I know schools, they may take some time to buy in and to get accustomed. So we've had 56 participants this year registered. Yes, and we've had 4 preliminary rounds, and from each round we had 5 students emerging from these rounds. So we've had a round on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and now we have 20 semi-finalists.
This is the 32nd Rotaract Spelling Bee competition, which was last held back in 2018. Cyrus is pleased with this year's participation. Cyrus says the participants surpassed their expectations and is urging the public to come out and support them on Saturday.
The semi-finals will be on Saturday, 29th April. As well as the finals, it's a one-day event. We intend to begin at 9:30 a.m. and finish by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I am asking if you know your school is in the semi-finals and finals, I'm encouraging you to come out. If you know as well, maybe your cousin, your niece, your nephew or so is in the semi-finals, I encourage you to come out as well. We want maximum support for all the students on that day.
Welcome to Rise and Shine. Good morning and welcome to Rise and Shine for today, Tuesday. It's the 25th day of April, 2023. I am your host, Jocelyn Crosby. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Another final week in the month of April, the 4th month of the year. We're getting ready to welcome May come Monday, which is also a public holiday as it is Workers' Day. It is May Day on Monday. How was your weekend? I trust it was a wonderful one for you. And you're looking forward to wrapping up this month, this final week in the month, with a bang, yes? Doing all that we do best, giving our best, and also realizing a better version of ourselves each day. Today, it will be no different. We will be sharing lots with you. And as we promised you last week, we will be speaking to former acting Labour Commissioner and Labour Officer, Reginald Lord. Mr. Lord, we tried speaking to him last week. He was having some technical difficulties, but this morning we will be attempting to take on that conversation again. The minimum wage conversation, the pros and the cons to it, Mr. Lord will be sharing with us this morning, and then we'll be speaking to the Ministry of Health, a representative from the Ministry of Health. It's vaccination week, so to parents, you know, it's time to have the children ready. Remember those that are 14 and a half and 15 or 15-year-olds. It's normally the ones that we forget about because the younger ones get all the vaccines up to 4 years. And then afterwards, they have to do that last one when they're about 15. So those in secondary school that are just about getting ready for external exams or in Form 4, that kind of area, ensure that they get their vaccine. So we will be seeing a lot of our nurses and so in the schools and looking for permission to ensure that the children are vaccinated. But before we do anything else, we are getting the rain this morning and we are grateful because our plants are smiling. Let's go over to the Met Office to find out what's happening with the weather. Good morning.
Morning to you, Ms. Crosby, and good morning to all viewers and listeners of MTV. Let's take a look at the weather for today, Tuesday, the 25th day of April 2023. At Point Lane, it is overcast with some light showers. The wind is calm. The barometric pressure is 12.9 millibars, which is below normal and rising. The present temperature, 24.5 degrees Celsius, relative humidity, 93%. Yesterday's maximum temperature was 30.4 degrees Celsius, and the minimum last night, 24.3 degrees Celsius. Over the past 24 hours, we had 2.2 millimeters of rain. The total for the month so far, 7.3 millimeters. Now for the public focus for Grenada, Carriacou, Petite Martinique, valid for today and tonight. The weather is expected to be partly cloudy to cloudy, slightly hazy and breezy, with some brisk to wide scattered showers. Today's maximum temperature should reach 30 degrees Celsius. The wind should be easterly to southeasterly at 14 to 24 miles per hour. The sea should be slight to moderate with waves 3 to 5 feet in open waters. The tide is currently falling, will be low at 11:30 a.m. and high at 5:30 p.m. Sunset today 6:21, sunrise tomorrow 5:51. To repeat the forecast, the weather is expected to be partly cloudy to cloudy, slightly hazy and breezy, with some brief to widely scattered showers. From the Maurice Bishop International Airport, Jason Robertson reporting.
Jason, and that's the weather forecast for today, given there by the forecaster, Mr. Robertson, from the Met Office. Let's go over now to our word of the day from our student, our featured student for the morning, and it's Nikayla Benjamin from the First Choice Junior School.
Hello everyone, my name is Nikayla Benjamin. I attend First Choice Junior School and I am in grade 4. The word for today is accommodate. The spelling is ACCOMMODATE. The meaning is to provide lodging or sufficient space for. This word can be used in a sentence as follows. The hotel can accommodate up to 500 guests.
Thank you so much, Nikayla. That's our word of the day there from Nikayla Benjamin. It's time now for emergency tip of the day. Emergency readiness tips is what we'll be focusing on this morning. How can you better be prepared? Be informed. Know what threats you may face. And we always speak to this. It's important that you do an assessment of your surrounding and knowing what hazards can affect you. Be prepared. Have an emergency kit with at least 3 days worth of essentials. Know what you would need and have it there. Create an emergency plan so your family members know where to meet. Very, very critical, just in case you're separated. And be involved. Help one another in times of need. You may have a plan, your neighbor may not have one, but ensure that the plan that you have for your family, it will include your neighbor just in case they need you. So that is what emergency planning is about. Emergency is not an individualistic thing. It is something that involves everyone in your neighborhood, because remember, while you may be preparing and you might see all the hazards, somebody else will be affected. What do? You leave them out? No, you don't. You always assist. So emergency readiness tips ensure that you are always prepared. So that's our emergency tip for the day. It's now 7:45 in the morning. What we're going to do now, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will be speaking to Mr. Lord. The pros and cons in the minimum wage conversation. A series of consultations are ongoing. Mr. Lord will be speaking to us about the importance of this conversation that's happening now. We will be back in a bit.
It's all about the glam with stylish new frames from Quartz Optical. Shop today for up to 50% off and pay nothing for 30 days. Book now at www.quartzoptical.com. Get the look you want at the price you need. Plus, at Quartz Optical, our eye exams are always free. So what are you waiting for? Come down and get glam. with up to 50% off selected frames. Quartz Optical. Value you can see.
Promoters, here is a chance to boost your event or fete with MTV's irresistible television advertising specials. Book now and be wowed with party deals and good advertising coverage. Call our sales and marketing department on 440-8171 or via WhatsApp on 455-5718. You can also send an email at mtvmarketinggd@gmail.com. Terms and conditions apply. It's the 4th edition of Hubbard's Live Free for 1 year promotion. Cuatro Punto Cero. It's unbelievably amazing. You can win free fuel, free drinks, cash prizes, free property and vehicular insurance, free cable, TV and internet, free electricity, free coke, free water, free cooking gas, free paint supplies, free passes to Sunshine Promotion events for 2023, free groceries, all for 1 whole year. And every winner receives a lunch package. Be sure to fill out the entry forms and enter it into the marked entry boxes at all Hubbard's departments and at participating outlets. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2023. Draws will be held every 2 weeks. Terms and conditions apply.
Boy, yo, they gonna fly with kite now. The wind picking up.
I'm coming. Karim, what you doing?
Fly my kite.
Yeah, but not here. You can't fly kite near power lines, boy.
Why not? The wind good.
Because mommy say kite threads conduct electricity.
Yeah, kite. He's right. If your kite gets stuck in power lines, it can cause power outages, or even worse, it can get shocked.
Come, let's go and fly them in the pasture.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Grenlink, energizing our Grenada.
Get ready to experience the ultimate Spice Mass launch 2023. On Friday, April 28th, the Stadium Car Park will be transformed into an electrifying arena of raw talent and energy. Starting at 5:30 p.m., you'll be blown away by the incredible lineup of artists set to grace the stage, including Boise, Terra the Governor, Lil Natty and Thunder, Lava Man, Looney Spark and Electrify, Jad King, Lil Kerry, Lil Jello, Dash, Crave, Mozo, Scala, and many more. But that's not all. Prepare to be amazed by the traditional mass, Moko Jumbies, Jab Jab, Short Knee, and Veko. Plus, your reigning Panorama champs, Co-op and Comancheros, will also be there to add to the excitement. And the best part, it's completely free. The Stadium Car Park is the place to be on Friday, April 28th. Get ready for an epic night that you'll never forget. Spice Mass, the evolution.
At the NIS, our team proudly works to support the evolving needs of Grenadians. We have made some changes to our operations and want to keep you informed. Firstly, we are happy to introduce the new unemployment benefit. This benefit will provide an insured person with 50% of his or her former income in the case of sudden unemployment. To support this benefit and other benefits we offer, it was necessary to increase the contribution rate. The contribution rate will increase gradually each year until it reaches 16% in 2031. As always, the contribution will be split between you and your employer. The pensionable age will also increase from 60 to 65 years. This increase will also be gradually reaching age 65 in 2029. Pensioners will continue to be eligible for a pension from age 60, but will receive a reduced payment. The NIS recognizes that the prices of basic customer goods are increasing globally. Therefore, we are happy to also increase the weekly minimum pension payment by 25%. Finally, we have adjusted our survivor's benefit payment to a percentage of the age pension minimum. Widows, widowers, and dependent parents will receive 100% or $58 weekly, while children will receive 50% or $29 weekly of the deceased's pension. We are here to make the transition to these new changes as clear and simple as possible. If you have any questions on how these changes impact you and your family, please contact our new informational hotline at 440-6647 or visit www.nisgrenada.org. Thank you for allowing us to be your social security provider.
Rise and shine.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for being here with us today. If you're just joining us, we are preparing to have that conversation with Mr. Reginald Lord, having that conversation on the minimum wage, the pros and the cons. We are still having a bit of a challenge, but we are working to have that sorted out. So as soon as we do, we will get into that conversation. Remember, it forms part of that general conversation that's ongoing now here in Grenada on the minimum wage. The Attorney General, who's also the Minister of Legal Affairs and Labor and Consumer Affairs, the Honorable Claudette Joseph, mandated the Wage Advisory Committee under the chairmanship of Dr. Curlin Gilchrist to commence a series of consultations to find out, get the public's input on what the minimum wage should be for people who fall under that bracket. Yeah, what do you think a construction worker should be working for? And remember, as we continue to live, we recognize and we see the changes in that of the cost of living going up. You go to the supermarket, you recognize that it is not what it used to be. Yeah, what you would take $50 and purchase, it only purchases 2 items now. You would only get 2 items for that same $50 now. So we know that the cost of living, it is increasing. So it therefore means that the people who fall in the minimum wage bracket, it is more of a challenge for them now to live. So it is government's plan to revise that whole scheme. Yeah? See how much more you can add or increase the minimum wage. That the last time this was reviewed, I think it was in 2011. That was a long time ago. So now it's time to do it again, because we know that you need to find a way to see how you can put a little bit more disposable income in the hands of the ordinary man. And that is the intention. This morning I am having some challenges with my throat because of my sinus again, but I do hope we can walk through this. So please bear with me. There are times I may be a bit softer because I cannot stretch the throat through too much, or it may irritate it a bit. So I ask for your patience with me this morning. So we are trying to reconnect with Mr. Lord, but since we are still waiting on him, and we also have that conversation with the Ministry of Health. So if we do get to connect with our representative from the Ministry of Health, then maybe we have that conversation before we get to Mr. Lord this morning. It is 7:53 in the morning. The Climb to 8 is on. Our students are getting ready to start another day of learning, and our workers are getting ready to serve. Yeah, remember, while you are serving, it is also a day to learn. Every day is another day to learn. What we are going to do, I think we are going to take, because we also have a challenge with our second guest, the same challenge with the audio connecting, it seemed to be. So we will take another break, and when we come back, let's see how we can sort out some of the issues, can assist some of our guests with some of the issues that they are facing. So we'll be back in just a bit.
About the glam with stylish new frames from Quartz Optical. Shop today for up to 50% off and pay nothing for 30 days. Book now at www.quartzoptical.com. Get the look you want at the price you need. Plus, at Quartz Optical, our eye exams are always free. So what are you waiting for? Come down and get glam with up to 50% off selected frames. Quartz Optical. Value you can see.
Promoters, here is a chance to boost your event or fete with MTV's irresistible television advertising specials. Book now and be wowed with party deals and good advertising coverage. Call our sales and marketing department on 440-8171 or via WhatsApp on 405-5718. You can also send an email at mtvmarketinggd@gmail.com. Terms and conditions apply. It's the 4th edition of Hubbard's Live Free for 1 year promotion. Cuatro Punto Cero. It's unbelievably amazing. You can win free fuel, free drinks, cash prizes, free property and vehicular insurance, free cable, TV and internet, free electricity, free coke, free water, free cooking gas, free paint supplies, free passes to Sunshine Promotion events for 2023, free groceries, all for 1 whole year. And every winner receives a lunch package. Be sure to fill out the entry forms and enter it into the marked entry boxes at all Hubbard's departments and at participating outlets. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2023. Draws will be held every 2 weeks. Terms and conditions apply.
Boyo, they gonna fly with kite now. The wind picking up.
I'm coming. Karim,
The next guest
Fly my
is...
Yeah, but not here. You can't fly kite near power lines, boy.
Why not? The wind good.
Because mommy say kite threads conduct electricity.
Yeah, kite. He's right. If your kite gets stuck in power lines, it can cause power outages, or even worse, it can get shocked.
Come, let's go and fly them in the pasture.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Grenlink, energizing our Grenada.
Get ready to experience the ultimate Spice Mass Launch 2023. On Friday, April 28th, the Stadium Car Park will be transformed into an electrifying arena of raw talent and energy. Starting at 5:30 p.m., you'll be blown away by the incredible lineup of artists set to grace the stage, including Boise, Terra the Governor, Lil Natty and Thunder, Lava Man, Looney Spark and Electrify, Jab King, Lil Kerry, Lil Jello, Dash, Crave, Mozo, Scala, and many more. But that's not all. Prepare to be amazed by the traditional mask, Moko Jumbies, Jab Jab, Short Knee, and Veko. Plus, your reigning Panorama champs, Co-op and Comancheros, will also be there to add to the excitement. And the best part, it's completely free. The Stadium Car Park is the place to be on Friday, April 28th. Get ready for an epic night that you'll never forget. Spice Mass, the evolution.
At the NIS, our team proudly works to support the evolving needs of Grenadians. We have made some changes to our operations and want to keep you informed. Firstly, we are happy to introduce the new unemployment benefit. This benefit will provide an insured person with 50% of his or her former income in the case of sudden unemployment. To support this benefit and other benefits we offer, it was necessary to increase the contribution rate. The contribution rate will increase gradually each year until it reaches 16% in 2031. As always, the contribution will be split between you and your employer. The pensionable age will also increase from 60 to 65 years. This increase will also be gradually reaching age 65 in 2029. Pensioners will continue to be eligible for a pension from age 60, but will receive a reduced payment. The NIS recognizes that the prices of basic customer goods are increasing globally. Therefore, we are happy to also increase the weekly minimum pension payment by 25%. Finally, we have adjusted our survivor's benefit payment to a percentage of the age pension minimum. Widows, widowers, and dependent parents will receive 100% or $58 weekly, while children will receive 50% or $29 weekly of the deceased's pension. We are here to make the transition to these new changes as clear and simple as possible. If you have any questions on how these changes impact you and your family, please contact our new informational hotline at 440-6647 or visit www.nisgrenada.org. Thank you for allowing us to be your social security provider.
It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's time now for us to get into what should have been our second interview this morning. We are having a challenge in connecting with Mr. Lord, so we may have to consider doing this piece for you pre-recorded. We will arrange with Mr. Lord and see how we can get that piece out with the technical challenges that we are having. But let's go over now to the ministry, representatives on the Ministry of Health. This morning we're speaking to Ms. Hannah St. Paul. She's the manager of the Extended Immunization Program at the Ministry of Health. And Dr. Ari Charles. He is PAHO consultant here in Grenada. And it is Immunization Week. A lot is happening. We all know this process. It became more of an issue to us during COVID. But since we're children, we know about getting immunized. We know the process. We must go to the clinic. Once we have a baby, we have to go there and do it. But oftentimes we forget that the final one when our children turn 15, because we tend to think at 4, then that's it for them. But the ministry always reminds us, and we're always grateful for that. So good morning to two of my guests. Thank you so much for being here with us. We do appreciate your time. We know it's early.
Thank you, Oslin, for having us. We're happy to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you, Dr. Charles and Ms. St. Paul. So it is Immunization Week. I want us to start. I'm going to start off with Ms. St. Paul. Speak to us about what is Vaccination Week. What is it all about?
And as I say, thank you again, Oslin, for having us. The ministry, this is nothing new to the Ministry of Health or to Grenada. Vaccination Week in the Americas has been celebrated over 21 years. And this year, we are celebrating the 21st Vaccination Week in the Americas and the 12th World Immunization Week. What Vaccination Week is all about is a week where the ministry concentrates, or the region concentrates on bringing awareness of vaccine information and vaccines and the benefits of vaccines to our people. So what Grenada has done is to put in place some health promotional activities aimed at reaching hard-to-reach persons as well as hard-to-reach communities, aimed at improving our vaccination coverage against vaccine-preventable diseases. And we hope that this week awareness would help us to improve that level of hesitancy that we are seeing within our country at present. As you spoke earlier, Roslyn, you seem that you're a really attentive mother, because you could have highlighted really what happens within our immunization program. It starts at birth, but it doesn't end there, because we try to ensure that persons are up to date at all ages against vaccine preventable disease. So the week is really to promote vaccines, promote the benefit of immunization. It has been a program of awareness that has been aimed or complementary to our immunization program. So we continue to do our immunization program throughout the year, but this week is celebrated to bring greater awareness to the public of the benefits of vaccination.
It is very important. As a parent, I think I've had to do it enough times for me to remember it. But Dr. Charles, I want to bring you into the conversation. PAHO consultant. We heard a lot about vaccine hesitancy during the pandemic. It is our hope, or rather was our hope, that meant that people would have become more aware and more inclined to taking it. But I think the opposite happened. So it's almost as if now we have to reorient people to the importance of vaccination. But the importance of the PAHO, because we have heard it a lot from PAHO during the pandemic, because it was not just the COVID vaccine you were speaking about, you were also speaking about the vaccine that Ms. St. Paul is speaking about. Speak to us about the importance of vaccination to PAHO and of course preventing some of the diseases that vaccine give us some level of protection against.
Like you said, with the level of education that people have acquired, we expected that people will understand better the importance of immunization. There are several benefits that we derive from immunization. The first is that immunization saves lives. If we go back memory lane, we'll realize that it was through vaccination that smallpox was eradicated in the world. Good. Immunization also helps us to protect the next generation against debilitating diseases. For example, we take the case of polio, which has been eradicated in many countries today, except Afghanistan and Pakistan, where we still have wild polio, which are still polio endemic countries in the world. Now, we realize that if we vaccinate mothers, it will help to reduce transmission of mother-to-child rubella, and you know the complications of rubella to a pregnant woman. Immunization also saves money. Imagine you being admitted in hospital taking care of children or a child with a vaccine-preventable disease. You cannot go to your job. If it's a private sector job, you might be sent out because you were absent, which can be justified also. And the small money for a family that is still struggling to build, you spend on hospital bills, and the time you would have used to do other things. So vaccinating children against vaccine-preventable diseases saves money and time. Another benefit of immunization is that it protects our community, protects children against disabilities. I take polio again as another example. Just by receiving polio doses, either the oral drops or the injectable polio, we can prevent children from becoming handicapped. All of us the world over, we are proud of Usain Bolt as an athlete. Imagine him being, if he was not up, I'm sure the parents took him to the health facilities to receive polio vaccines. Immunization also, another disabilities that vaccines have been able to prevent disabilities emanating from the complications of measles. Some of the complications of measles include blindness, deafness, and mental disabilities for surviving children. If I go back again, if we vaccinate, against rubella, we'll prevent women of childbearing ages to be contaminated with the rubella, which might lead to congenital rubella syndrome, leading to fetal malformations. So we prevent mothers to give birth to malformed children by vaccinating against rubella. Lastly, immunization protects you, your family, and friends. We saw the case during the last pandemic, COVID vaccine. You might have somebody who is infected with COVID, we saw, but did not suffer the complications. Instead, contaminated maybe a family member or friend who succumbed to the virus. So these are the kind of things we are preaching to our community. You are not only receiving vaccines for yourself, but you're protecting your family and your community. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Charles. And I'm happy that you did get to speak to the benefits of vaccine, of getting vaccine. Because one of the things that we recognize is, bad news always run faster or spread faster than the good ones. And I think it's important that during this vaccination week that we push the benefits of vaccine. We were all vaccinated as children. And then I remember that to me was one of the comments that I was making during COVID when the conversation started on vaccines and the anti-vaccine. You respect people's opinion, but as I said, we all went through the same process, and we are all here, we are safe, and I think we should be grateful. Ms. St. Paul, I want to bring you back in the conversation. Let us speak about Grenada's current vaccination status. We know that as we grew up, we would have seen children in our communities with polio. Up to today, it still affects them because parents did not do what they were supposed to. We see it a lot less now. Parents are taking their children to the clinic, and the ministry is assisting the process. So if you don't, then you go to the schools and you make it happen, for example, a week like now. And I want us to speak about our vaccination status. What we see, I think what you're doing is working.
Thank you, Rosalind. I hope what we are doing is working, because from where I sit, I am seeing some different results. We would have, despite the region efforts to ensure that all of our children are vaccinated against vaccine-preventable diseases, we are seeing and having some challenges, difficult times. Our healthcare providers are being insulted, if you want to go to that level of word, because that's the severity at where we are at this point in time. Grenada is no exception. We are seeing day by day a level of hesitancy or resistance, I would say, to vaccines by our parents and our guardians. Grenada, we used to boast of a vaccination coverage of 98% and 94% and 100%. However, today, we can no longer boast of that. We have seen a drastic decline in our immunization coverage against our vaccine-preventable diseases for children like polio, measles, tetanus, diphtheria, hepatitis. We have seen a decline, significant decline. And Rosalind, I just want to share briefly with you. In 2018, our vaccination coverage for diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, Haemophilus influenza, and hepatitis B was 98%. In 2021, it is now 72%. And I can tell you, in 2022, it is about 69% thereabout. So what it is saying to us, that the 3 primary doses of vaccines against vaccines-preventable disease within our country, we have about 30% of our children that is not vaccinated. And it's not because the Ministry of Health do not have vaccines. Yes, sometimes we do have stock out because of logistic issues in transporting the vaccine, but never have Grenada been out of a vaccine for more than a month. Yes. However, we still have 30% of our children not being vaccinated for the first 3 primary doses of vaccines. Vaccines that is required for entrance into schools. So it tells us that our laws has to be enforced, because currently Grenada and some of our other regional counterparts, the region is now placed in a position at risk for crisis or an outbreak against these diseases that our generation has never seen. And because our generation has never seen those diseases, we have become comfortable and we have become complacent. And we can no longer, as a ministry, accept this public health threat, because this is a threat to the public. So when I take a position to say that I am not vaccinating my child, it's not only about my child, it's about the rest of the children that your child is going into school to socialize with. And we have to see the bigger picture. So as a parent, if, Rosalind, you have chosen not to vaccinate your child, that is your right. But if I have chosen to protect my child, then I need to stand up against you. Because you are bringing your child into my space to expose my child and put my child at risk. We know that our region is very porous now. It's a global market. So it's no longer when the United States was far away. Yes, we had a polio in the Americas. Yes, and we are doing so much to prevent our population from being infected with polio. But polio is one JetBlue flight away from us. That's how simple it is. So we have coverage of 69%. It means that we no longer has herd immunity against these diseases. So persons who feel comfortable in saying, I'm not vaccinating my child, is because we have a 95 and 98% coverage of vaccine, that we had herd immunity within our country. We have lost that. And we can no longer say we have herd immunity because our vaccination coverage has reached to that point. That is not being putting information out there for persons to be fearful. It is the fact. It is what we have. And parents have to understand, and not just parents, but the public, because our children provided that level of protection to the adults. They provided that level of protection to all of us. So now that our children is no longer protected, then all of us are at risk. And our country is at significant risk for the re-emergence of polio and measles and diphtheria, diseases that we never had to deal with as a generation. We are working together with PAHO, UNICEF, to see how we can improve that vaccination coverage. We are making all efforts because we have to protect our health system, because we know that if we were to have diseases like polio and so re-emerging, our healthcare system, it's going to be overwhelmed again, right? So we have to prevent those diseases. If we can prevent something, then why wait to deal with it? We shouldn't wait to deal with it. And this is where Grenada is at, Oslin, as it relates to our immunization coverage and our immunization status.
That is not good at all. We are not in a very good place. I mean, as I said, we grew up in the age where our parents took us to the clinic. I mean, yes, they prepared us before, but now it does not seem to be that of a priority. 69% in 2022. That is not good at all. That is not good.
And one of the contributing factors could have been because our grandparents ensure that our mothers, why our grandparents were exposed to vaccine preventable disease. They lived through it. They saw the impact. They saw the deaths resulting from those diseases, the complication. They had to live through it. They had to manage through it. And as a result, they pushed and encouraged our young mothers to do what is right. This is something that we have lost in communities.
How do we curb the cycle going the wrong direction? Because it is cyclic and it is coming back. Our grandparents now are gone because most of them, we are losing them. We have younger parents now, and it does not seem to be a priority. So I am preparing my children, but they're going out in the community where they are exposed. And I want to bring back Dr. Charles in the conversation here, because I think it is safe to say that we are now at risk for vaccine preventable diseases, because preparing your child in no way saves them when they are exposed to children who can contract these diseases. Dr. Charles, earlier you spoke about the benefits, the downside to it now, because while yes, we often speak about not sharing things or not creating panic, sometimes it appears as though, well, as I said, information is supposed to empower. So if you understand the benefit, but you also understand the risk, then maybe it might prompt you to take some action.
I want to make our communities, and I'm sure many people the world over will follow up these discussions, that vaccines, like many other medications, have side effects. And the side effects, if they do occur, are minimal. And usually we monitor the side effects. When the side effect is reported, it is recorded, and we carry out the follow-up to see. We have to continue to educate our community on the benefits of vaccines. St. Paul talked of herd immunity, which has dwindled as the days go by, because we are no more taking our children ourselves to the health facilities for immunization. This has been aggravated by the COVID pandemic, where trust in health system has been lost. I think we want to call on everyone to revisit their risk, the way they perceive the risk. Some look at risk of disease, risk of side effects of vaccines. Now, there are persons who, during the COVID pandemic, were afraid to take children to the hospital because they were afraid. You know, the hospital is where you meet sick people. So they were afraid to go get contaminated. By so doing, they failed, to participate in other vital activities, health activities in the hospital, for example, immunization. So they were afraid to take their children for immunization and other activities. There are those who do not even believe in the solutions that government has provided and think, whatever I do, it doesn't matter. In health, all the activities we carry out in health involves the community. Before government takes a decision, a health decision, the community is always consulted. In the ministry, we have community nurses, we have community this, community that, because you don't just make an activity to your community without their engagement. So, you are there, we are here, we have to continue communication. Tell people the importance of vaccines. We have history about vaccines. It saves lives. We have diseases we see which affect our community. If we take polio, for example, if we remain with polio, polio has to do with poor hygiene. So I come from my own country. North St. Paul said, the world is a global village, and your country, Grenada, is a marketplace. Everybody wants to come to Grenada. It's a beautiful touristic destination. What if we came with other viruses and bacteria, and we are looking healthy? So we have to protect, like I was taught in primary school, prevention is better than cure. It's cheaper to prevent than to cure.
So true. But go ahead, Dr. Charles.
No, it's okay.
Please finish.
Okay. Ms. St. Paul, we spoke about the challenges, yeah? And from all indications, it's a lot. Hesitancy being the biggest, and as we said, COVID did not help us there. So it would only make it worse. So by the end of this year, I'm sure the stats would show that we might drop further into the 60s. I hope we don't get to 50 because it means that we are regressing, we're going back. That is not a good thing at all. You spoke a while ago about public health legislation, and I know we heard a lot about it during the pandemic. The greater good, ensuring that what we do, it is to protect more than to lose people. We don't have people to lose. I think we can all agree to this. We don't have people to lose to any disease. So it's important that we protect ourselves. Is there any legislation? Because we can sit down and look for all the reasons why, and I know the ministry will have to do that kind of analysis. What is the reason why now our younger parents are not bothering to bring the children to the clinic, right? And why they are so aggressive. My children not taken, because you still need consent. In the event where that challenge continues, so it persists, is there any legislation here that can say, for the greater good, that a child must be immunized, and this has nothing to do with their parents?
Rosalind, I have to be careful with my words when it comes to that. However, I just want to say, yes, there has been a legislation since 1980 within Grenada as it relates to childhood vaccination. And the Act speaks to every child at every level of school has to be fully vaccinated for acceptance into school. And that legislation forms part of the Ministry of Education whole policy as it relates to education. So the Ministry of Health doesn't work in isolation. It collaborates with other ministries, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Social Development, because social development is where we have our daycares, and some of them have daycares with a level of preschool, if I should say that. So we work along with these two ministries, and the Ministry of Education has the responsibility, really, when it comes to that. So a child entering school, it is the responsibility of the principal to ensure that that child vaccination record is properly checked and that child is fully vaccinated for entrance into school. If the child is not vaccinated, then the parent is informed that the child needs to get up to date. So she needs to take the child to the clinic to have the child up to date. The Act also gives the Ministry of Education the right to not accept a child who is not fully vaccinated into schools. However, as in everything else, we have been a little bit, I would say comfortable, because as I say to you, Oslin, our coverage has always been in the 90s. So because of that, we would have not been so rigid or strict on that act. However, where we are now with our vaccination coverage, we can no longer be that lenient. So we have to now work with the Ministry of Education to ensure that this act is enforced. We have to make sure that every child entering school is fully vaccinated. The unfortunate things that I've seen, Oslin, is that when a child completed secondary school, yes, and they're on to, some of them go straight on to university, the clinic is overwhelmed at some point in time with parents taking the children to be vaccinated now with vaccines that they should have had over the years, because the university would not accept anyone without the required or prerequisite vaccines. So sometimes the child and the nurse have to administer 4 and 5 vaccines at the same time, something that could have been avoided. And not only that, sometimes the timing that the child comes to the clinic, because you're at university, sometimes the response comes back very late. Yes? So you have to find that time, and the timeline is very short. And that child has to be given so much vaccines at one point in time, and sometimes they don't have the deadline because they need 3 or 4 different doses, which you have to give at a different particular time. So all of this can be avoided if we just stick to our immunization schedule. I want to emphasize to our parents, vaccines are safe. It has been proven over and over, years after year. There is no healthcare practitioner that can give to your child any other vaccine other than what is required in the schedule. So there are rumors that maybe my child might be getting COVID vaccine. I want to assure you, this is not ethical. We can't do such. We would not do such. Every one of us in Grenada are related, some way, somehow. We can't. As a healthcare provider, we cannot do such thing. And I want to ensure and assure our parents that the vaccines that is being received in school are not COVID vaccines. They are childhood preventable disease vaccines for polio, for tetanus, for diphtheria, for measles, for against cervical cancer, which is our HPV vaccines. There is no COVID vaccines being given in school. As a matter of fact, we do not have pediatric COVID vaccines on island. So I just want to reassure parents of that before we go.
So much. I do hope you and Dr. Charles that the message gets home. I know we would ask, what should the population do? If you're not sure, go read up about it. We have access to information. Yeah, we can go find out. Just as how we go and read up everything else, we can read up what's important to us and our children. As a parent, I always believe that while yes, there may be noise, the noise is not always the facts, and most of the times it's not the facts. All it does is create a set of fear among you, and you follow it and you recognize that all you do is just get caught up in it. And your children will also get caught up in the problem. When the COVID vaccine came out for the one for teenagers, I made a decision early, and I had a conversation, and I said, my daughter will be taking it. When I went to get vaccinated, she got vaccinated for COVID. I believe that as parents, we have a responsibility to give our children a fighting chance. Yeah, we are not supposed to find ourselves in a position where we listen to everybody else. You, the parents, yeah, you charge the responsibility to take care of that ward. That is your child. Or if you are a guardian of a child, you give them a fighting chance. Just as how we speak about education, their health, if they don't have health, then they will never ever get education. And I think that is how we need to speak to these things. And as parents, we have a responsibility. And I think, and I would go as far to say that if the resistance continue, then I guess we take action against the parents and give the child a fighting chance. What do you think? The system, I think, will be better off with it.
I would leave you to say that.
That's all right. Let me say it. Let me say it. Let me say it. Allow me to say it.
I think we need to remind parents, especially resistant parents, that immunization is a right. And it's got the duty of government to provide vaccines. We talk of equity when it comes to immunization. When we talk of health, we talk of equity, meaning the person in the hard-to-reach area should have
access.
Treatment for whatever disease, should have vaccines made available to them. And about sources of information, we want to advise our communities, go to credible sources. And the first credible source of information is the health facility around you. The nurses, the doctors, go to them, ask them your question. Unfortunately, today, the new hospital is the social media. I tell friends and family members, anything you want, get it on social media. But the most important thing is the credibility of the information you get on social media. Why will you leave a brother who is a medical doctor or nurse and you go look for information from somebody you do not even know? There's been a lot of impersonation. What if I go on social media and write some information concerning road construction and I say I'm Engineer Charles? How many people know me as an engineer? But it is on social media and somebody will go say, we can use leaves, make tar for our road. That is what Engineer Charles said. How credible is that? So let us start with the people who know, who are credible, who are a source of information in their domain. If you ask me a certain question on health and I do not have a response, I'll be very honest to say I don't have the answer for now. I'll get to some other doctor or colleague who is better educated on that topic to help me give you an answer. So please, family members, please, community members, let's make use of the resources, credible resources we have around us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles. Ms. St. Paul, I want to give you the final word before we run off.
All right. Rosalind, we are facing an urgent situation within our immunization program. And our VWA, our vaccination campaign this year, really aims to really urgently address the challenges that we are seeing existing within our country on our immunization program. And the programs and activities that we are planning or have planned throughout the week aimed at really correcting misinformation, because what we have a lot out there is misinformation, and the misinformation is circulating within our population and it is discouraging persons to accept vaccine. So our program is aimed at providing factual information, and as a matter of fact, we're going to encourage and invite the public to a panel discussion which will be held on the 27th at St. Paul's Community Center at 7 a.m. We have a panel of persons, Dr. Taisha Donald, our PAHO representative, and other persons will be there providing information on immunization. So we are asking you to come out, come and ask your questions, come and get clarity on that night. So what we aim to do is to increase the level of vaccine acceptance, the demand for vaccines within our public, in order to be able to close that urgent immunity gap and protect our communities from the risk of outbreak. Our vaccination week emphasizes the benefits by providing vaccines and safe vaccines for our people. What we believe is that vaccine is an act of love. That's what it is. And we are asking persons to love them enough to protect them. If you love your child enough, then protect your child. If you love your grandmother enough, then protect your grandmother. This year's slogan for Vaccination Week is, Roslyn, get up to date. Each vaccine counts. And this slogan provides an opportunity for us to strengthen our messaging around vaccination. We say, get up to date. Each vaccine counts. And I would go on to say, love them enough to protect them. If you love your child enough, the HPV vaccine would help to protect your child from having cervical cancer. Do not believe that the Ministry of Health is exposing your child at an early age. No. HPV vaccine is more effective before you have sexual activities happening. So when that child gets married, that girl gets married at 34, and she's now of age to do what needs to happen, she's already protected. This is the level of benefits that the immunization program aims to bring to our people. Protection. Let us save lives. Vaccines save lives.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. St. Paul. Remind us again of that panel discussion in St. Paul's. What day is it?
The panel discussion is on Thursday, the 27th at 7 p.m. St. Paul's Community Center. And we also have a vaccine awareness walk on Saturday from Progress Park to Tivoli Pasture on Saturday, the 29th. That is our final activity. However, there too, we will be having a mini health fair for our children and mothers. So we are asking the mothers, parents within the surrounding areas of Tivoli, La Porterie, Hermitage, Conference, all of the areas around, to bring your children out. We have a team of pediatricians, the best Grenada has. They will be there to look after your children. We will have our obstetrician gynecologists to help our mothers who have any challenges, because we know that our outpatient clinic can be a little bit full at some point in time, and some people need to access, but the time period can be long. So if you have a problem, come. They are there, they are available. We will be having vaccines offered as well, and that day at Tivoli RCC. So we're asking persons to come out, come and join us as we aim to provide factual information to you so that you can make better and informed decisions. The nurses are out there in communities. They are coming to your community. Please, when they come, open the door. They are coming to you to make life a bit easier for you, so that you didn't have to come. You wasn't coming, so they're coming to you. You're not bringing the children into the clinic, so they are going into the schools. We are right now, our nursing cadre is very short, but immunization is a priority. So we are taking them out of the clinics, and we are making time to bring them into the community so that we can get you up to date on your vaccines. And vaccines are not only for children, they are for all of us. Get up to date on your vaccines. We are begging you as a nation, please get up to date. Each vaccine counts.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. St. Paul, and also Dr. Charles for being here with us this morning. The information had me a bit shocked. I did not expect us to be on that level, but now that we know, it means that we all need to do what we need to do to continue to encourage people, our parents, to get our children vaccinated. Get vaccinated, as you said, get updated. Each vaccine counts, and if we love our children, then we will continue to protect them. Ms. St. Paul, Dr. Charles, thank you so much again, and I'm sure you will be back on the program to share with us the outcome and to continue to encourage parents, because you know, outside of vaccination week, you can go to the clinics on the assigned days and get the children vaccinated. Thank you again and have a wonderful day to both of you.
Thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
You're most welcome. And that was our interview there with Ms. Hannison Paul and Dr. Charles speaking about Vaccination Week. Very, very important. I hope you were following. We are now down to 69% in 2022 in that of vaccination. The amount of people that are vaccinated or children that are vaccinated in Grenada. What are we doing? What are we doing? We are going back in all the wrong areas. Public health is critical. We are a social people. Human beings are social beings. We go out, and in the Caribbean, we do a lot more of it. It's how we grow up. It's what we do. It's how we do it. But if we are not protected, then I guess we have to think twice about going outside, right? Our children go out to school. We meet on the playground. We meet in events. If our children are exposed, so too are we. Why are we not doing what we should be doing? Why are priorities and responsibilities we seem to be negating? Well, what is going on with us? As a mother, as a parent, do we understand our role in having someone in our care that their lives that we are responsible for? How could we forget something like this? No, we need to do better than that. We must do better. We must do better than that. Now it's time for us to go over to that interview that we were trying to get on with Mr. Lord. Now we are connected, I believe, Mr. Lord. I believe we are unmuted. Good morning and welcome to Rise and Shine.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for the patience and trying until we have gotten through. We appreciate.
Well, actually, it's my pleasure.
We really do appreciate having you. We hope
Thank
that
you.
retirement is where we can see retirement is treating you well. We know that you exited the chair after many years in the Ministry of Labor.
Yeah, well, you see, retirement is something you have to prepare for, but you still have to keep the brain active, you know?
Yes, yes.
I'm enjoying it.
I agree. Wonderful, wonderful. But we know that as a resource bank and an institution as yourself, we cannot just let that much information just go away, right? Because as you said, we have to keep the brain active.
I am driven by service, so no problem.
Wonderful, wonderful. The conversation on the minimum wage is on now. Speak to us first. Let's start off with what is the minimum wage for somebody who does not know. For example, our children also. What's the minimum wage here in Grenada?
Well, actually, the minimum wage is the minimum benchmark that any establishment would pay a worker. In other words, they can't pay them under that. But this is the benchmark. This is the line drawn. So any payments, any income should be above that line. Okay. So no one should be encouraged to work for minimum wage. That's why it's so important that people train themselves, qualify themselves, and there is upward mobility in any work environment. Yes. So the law, the Employment Act provides that the Minister of Labor from time to time would look at employees who do not have a formal setting, for instance, an industrial agreement, and set minimum wage for those workers. Okay. They call them disadvantaged workers. Like, for instance, domestic workers, store clerks. They are not part of the formal arrangement where you have industrial agreement signed by unions, etc. So the Minister of Labor shall every 3 years review the income of those workers to make sure that they reach to a situation where they could meet their basic needs. And this is basically what they call minimum wage, which is something that should be reviewed every 3 years. As you alluded to last week, the last minimum wage legislation was SRO 30 of 2011. And the legislation, the Employment Act 14 of 1999 says that every 3 years, the minimum wage committee is supposed to review minimum wage to keep it in line with the consumer price index, cost of living, et cetera, et cetera. So I must say, before we start the discussion, I want to compliment the Minister of Labor, the government, and the staff, the team, the Wages Advisory Committee, for taking this initiative to move forward. And then we could talk about all the nuts and bolts while we move on, Aslin.
So you just explained to us what is the minimum wage and also the legislation that governs when it should be reviewed, why it should be reviewed, who falls under that bracket. Yeah. Now we have the committee have started a series of consultations and going throughout the island, asking people's opinion. What do you think the minimum wage now should be for a construction worker? I've been following the consultations, yes? And some people may be wondering, if I go to that consultation, what kind of contribution is expected of me that will make a difference, right? And I think that part, because we have just established what it is, yeah? And some people, while yes, there is a suggestion, we also know that it must be within limit. Yes? Does the legislation govern the limit now, as the minister will now work towards? When it was done years ago, when it was, I remember it was Honorable Glenys Roberts when that was tabled. But it was for a specific group. I think it was just for security workers, I think. Right. Now that we are looking now to do it across the board, is there a ceiling as to how far you can go with the minimum wage?
If you want to do minimum wage across the board, which I think is impossible, you would have to do it by a percentage. Because, for instance, minimum wages in Grenada is determined by what you call in labor relations the principle of offerance and acceptance. Let me simplify that. The employer pay based on his ability to pay, and the employee accept based on their skills and their experience. Now, there are certain occupations, for instance, let's say a store clerk, for instance, where the employer, the pool for employees is bigger, the principle of offerance and acceptance would be slimmer than, let's say, a skilled carpenter. Let's take a carpenter, for instance. If you remember Ivan, we had to import carpenters because carpenters in Grenada, the tools are very expensive. They move with power tools. So the rate to negotiate to employ a carpenter would be much higher than a skilled mason. Because when a carpenter comes on your project, he comes with all the power saw and the power this and the power that. So to quantify an occupation, you have to look at the input that the person would have to put into attaining that standard. And that person will be able to negotiate based on that base, the salaries. So the principle of offerance and acceptance is the employer ability to pay as against the person's skills and the experience. So having minimum wage across the board, like you say, everybody should work for $5 an hour, would be impossible. So you have to do a labor market survey. Apart from what you have in the consultation, which is good, you get a TV reception as what is going on the ground. But ultimately, you would have to have a labor market survey. Because, for instance, a domestic worker in St. Patrick's would work for less money than a domestic worker in Lansapine. If you understand the difference in the area that the operation occurs in terms of as against the economic activities. So it'd be very difficult to do minimum wage across the board for Grenada. You look at, for instance, St. David's. If you decide to travel around the country, from the time you leave Grand Mall, it's ridges until you reach Palmis. So obviously, we are into the tourism sector. Obviously, everything tourism, because of the clogs in St. George, everything tourism will be coming up the East Coast. So 5 years from now, a domestic worker in St. David's will be working for much more than a domestic worker in St. Mark's. So it's a technical thing, Oslin. And the thing about minimum wage is that if you make a mistake with minimum wage, you could throw an entire sector out of business. So it's a delicate flower.
Okay.
You with me?
Okay. Okay. So I think now you have put the entire importance of this whole consultation and the review you have brought it to light for us. And as we talking about this, you know, oftentimes we hear about minimum wage, we hear about the importance of earning, and we know that goes hand in hand with that of productivity.
Yeah.
Yes. And as you said it a while ago, it speaks to that of an employer being able to pay and the worker being able to accept an offer that is made based on skills and experience.
Yeah.
The conversation that's on now, right, with the conversation that continues now, how far do you think we can go with this in making some changes? Because we would all admit that the times now are tough. Yeah, disposable income has dwindled significantly. And I think the people who fall under the minimum wage category, they are looking forward to see some revision. But as you rightfully said, it is very delicate and it needs to be done with precision, and we need to be very careful as to what we do.
Mm-hmm. But you see, the thing about minimum wage is that, I mean, no one should encourage one to work for minimum wage. Everybody should achieve and, aspire to achieve more than minimum wage. The problem is, inflation, for instance, is imported. I mean, our cost of living is dictated by external forces. Now, what the government needs to do is to initiate policies to soften the ground. For instance, I've been cogitating and I've been saying that to myself. I wonder the amnesty, the tax amnesty. I wonder how we could assist in employers giving an increase to workers. Because a lot of times workers are not investing in their workers' development. Let's take occupational safety and health, for instance. In Grenada, workers see health and safety in the workplace as a liability. Whereas if you look at ILO, it's an investment. So if government say, look, we give you amnesty, tax amnesty, where are these people going to invest the money? Are they going to invest it in the employees' development, or are they going to put it on their account? So it's a technical thing, Oslin. And while we need minimum wage, as the law says, it should have been reviewed every 3 years since 2011. And no government in the past ever attempted to do it. But while we're doing the consultation with the public, you're getting what is happening on the ground. But you have to engage the employers and make sure that they have the ability to pay. And I can give you a clinical example. I remember when the minimum wage came in 2011, one of the biggest security companies in Grenada, when they moved the wages from $4 to $8 an hour, one of the biggest security companies in Grenada was displaced. So you have to be careful with minimum wage. And that is why, for years, the principle of offerance and acceptance worked. But you need to raise the ceiling, I agree. And I compliment the government for that.
All right. So, and I'm gathering here from what you said, the pros is that it's important, yes, that we try to elevate people's what exists as their life, their livelihoods, what they have to take home, and give themselves a better quality of life. But that is also dependent on an individual, with that of employing themselves, continuing to achieve, elevate yourself through education and other stuff. And the cons to this is we have to be very delicate as to how we treat. It needs to be we need to be very, very cautious, because the minimum wage, as we recognize, it affects more of the private sector. So the employers have to play a critical role in this, because you can move it, yes, but it can throw an entire business out of operation. Correct.
Take, for instance, with unions, the trade unions, usually the trade union agreements, usually for a period of 3 years. Every 3 years, they renegotiate the wages. They make an addendum because they do it based on the consumer price index, et cetera, et cetera. So it's the same way the Ministry of Labor should be empowered to conduct this survey every 3 years to upgrade the base. But they should provide incentives and the enabling environment for people personal development, so that they could compete with the various positions above them. So the minimum wage is really to take care of the people who are margin, and to ensure that they could meet the basic needs. But the principle of offerance and acceptance would have worked over the years, and we have to be careful, because if you touch that minimum wage in a wrong note, you could throw up whole sector out of business.
Wow.
So we have to be careful.
Mr. Lord, as experienced labor officer, yes, somebody who now sit down and you're looking at everything. What are you hoping will be the outcome of this conversation, of this entire conversation? What do you think will be best for us at this time?
Well, we need to upgrade the base, as I said. We need to upgrade it. I agree 100%. I mean, you can't tell me, somebody working, and I could tell you my experience, most employers in town, especially in the area where you have fast turnover, they pay the minimum wage. We want to pay, and they pay the rate at 2011, So they need to upgrade the ceiling. But I'm saying what they need to do is to be careful, because the employer ability to pay is what is important here. You don't want to have an increase in the unemployment rate, because obviously if the employer can't pay, the first persons that will get touched is the people at the lower echelon of the lower profile of the employment table, So and you don't want these people to lose their jobs. So you have to engage the employer hard, real hard. I mean, we are engaging the public hard. We are engaging the public hard. We're having consultation around the country. We're engaging the public. We're getting the TV reception from them. But we had to engage the employers hard. Because okay, let me give an example. When the Labor Code came in, the employer's position was that public workers were getting too much holidays. And the tripartite arrangement had to settle for 2 weeks for the first year and 3 weeks thereafter, because the employer was saying that too much holidays, So we have to engage the employer hard, and not just the workers. Ultimately, the workers would benefit, but remember, it's the employers that have to survive. They have to make profit. They have to pay the dividends. They have to, etc. They have to pay the taxes, etc. So we have to engage the employer very, very hard. Otherwise, you might make a decision and just throw a particular sector out of business. So that's the way forward. And that's a real way. Everybody excited because the government, the party in opposition would have made a promise to upgrade minimum wage. Welcome. But the mechanics, the working portions, you have to get it right. Otherwise, you go have problems.
Wow. Mr. Lord, I think you have brought a different thinking to this conversation. But I think it is one that we need to be mindful of, because as you spoke then, you brought out that of the tripartite involvement. I guess the Employers Federation or unions, and so need to all be a part of that conversation, because we know that they represent workers, while it may not be some of our lower workers, but the union represents everyone in some cases, in some businesses. And it really brings a lot, it brings a lot to the focus now. And I think it's important in all of this, and what you were saying, that we manage expectations. It is critical. That we manage expectations in this conversation. While, yes, we are consulting with the public, it is important that we take the conversation to the key stakeholders that will be affected by this, but more so manage the people that are, the people's expectation that are looking forward, thinking that this is going to be the light at the end of the tunnel. It may not shine all at you at once, like the lights in the stadium, but sometimes you may have to work with a bulb at a time. You have to work with a bulb at a time on this one.
Yeah. You see, the thing is, employment arrangement change. For instance, and there are linkages. If one is employed and is being paid a good salary and he has a surplus, he might be able to employ a domestic worker. You know, so that domestic worker demands would be within the armpit of the base or above. You know, so that worker would be making demands based on what the law says. You understand? But that worker is expecting the employer, which is the person that employ he or she to be a domestic worker, to earn enough to sustain their job in the bottom. So the employer, and mind you, the Wages Advisory Committee comprised of the employers' representative, the trade unions, and government. I'm saying the consultation, and I want people to understand what I'm saying. The consultation is to pick up the TV reception on the ground. But the real clinical discussion should be with the employers and their ability to pay in an environment where they could survive in terms of business and expand and meet the obligation to the shareholders, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a complicated thing. It's not just you jumping up in the street and sing a chorus in a song. It's something that, and if you look at the people that are involved, Dr. Colin Gilchrist is an experienced person. You have the people like Mr. George Mason, a trade unionist for years. You know, these guys have a lot of experience. The employers representative, Ms. Gabriel, etc. But what I'm saying is, apart from picking up the donation from the public, you have to put the employers in a corner and sell the case to them, or else, because the employers won't come out in a consultation, Oslin. The employers wouldn't come out in a consultation. They go to a cocktail, a banquet, and that's where you have to lay the case in front of them. You with me? I come to Miss Sandy David.
Yes. I am with you. I am with you. And you are right. Because at the time of the consultations, employers are still at the office. Most of them are still at the office. So it is hard for you to come out at that time. But Mr. Lord, we need to have another part to this conversation. When the public consultations have ended, and then we get to the part where we are moving now to the employers part of the consultation, before the minimum wage is realized, we need to have a follow-up conversation to this. I think you have painted the picture of how important this conversation that has started now is, but I think you have also given us that very, very stern warning that while, yes, it is good that we have started the process, who we go to and what we do after all of this is what's critical.
Sure, surely. I'm available anytime. I'm retired.
Wonderful, and we need to tap into that institution because that institution is a wealth. It's a well of knowledge and resources, and we know. And I'm very, very happy that you have agreed to do this, and that you kept since last week Thursday. Last week Thursday we've been trying to do this, but I'm happy that we have done this today because we need to do another one. We need to do another one.
Well, let me just tell you one little secret. That's why every human should know when they reach the expiry date. I'm not so in tune with the technology. So actually, I had to get somebody to assist me.
That's okay. I agree with you. That's the reason why we have expiration dates. We all have one, and we need to know when to say, it's time for me to stop.
Time to go. Go.
I agree fully. I agree fully. But I'm happy that someone helped you this morning and that you were able to come on and share with us. Mr. Lord, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Your sound, we have to call it one sound council this morning. It was not just for us here, but I think for everybody to note the importance of what's happening. But more so, we should be very, 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 very cautious as to what we do after this and who we engage, because this is going to affect everyone.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You're most welcome, Mr. Lord. Have a wonderful day and continue to rest. You have earned it.
Thank you. All right.
You're most welcome. Thanks. That was Mr. Reginald Lord, former acting Labour Commissioner and Labour Officer for many, many years in the Ministry of Labour. For the people who may call Ministry of Labour from time to time, trying to find out something, reworkers, your business, how you should deal with things, you had an opportunity to speak to Mr. Lord. And I think we all know that he's a wealth of knowledge. He's a well, rather, of knowledge. He knows it at the back of his hand. And as he said, the conversation is going on now on the minimum wage, the number of public consultations. But it's important that as a government, as out there doing the consultations, that we meet with the right people, employers form a critical part of that conversation. And also, what happened? What we do, what is the minimum wage that's established after all of this can determine what happens to some sectors and what doesn't. So we know it's a very clinical conversation, and that's the reason why the experts are the ones that are doing it. Dr. Colin Gilchrist, an economist, very experienced one, together with his team represented by the Employers Federations and the union is there, and let us see where we can get with this one, because we know it's important that at the end of the day that everyone can provide for their families. The people who go there each day to work, they're not working because you just want to make yourself tired. No, you work because you have to. You work because you have to. And it's important that people are rewarded for what they do. That's where we conclude for this morning. It's already 6 minutes past 9 o'clock. Thank you so much for staying on with us. We had to speak to Mr. Lord this morning, so we went a little longer. Thank you so much again, our guests, Miss St. Paul and Dr. Charles. And Mr. Lord, thank you again. Have a great day, everyone. Be safe. Remember, be safe. I'm Jocelyn Crosby saying thank you to the team. Have a great day.
A home should always be safe for you and your children. So remember to have your electrician check your wiring every 5 years and keep cords and wires out of the reach of children.
We even added circuit interrupters in the bathroom and kitchen and any place where water and electricity are close.
Remember, children, never touch electrical cords and wires and never put objects into sockets.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
Promoters, here is a chance to boost your event or fete with MTV's irresistible television advertising specials. Book now and be wowed with party deals and good advertising coverage. Call our sales and marketing department on 440-8171 or via WhatsApp on 455-5718. You can also send an email at mtvmarketinggd@gmail.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Get ready to experience the ultimate Spice Mass Launch 2023. On Friday, April 28th, the Stadium Car Park will be transformed into an electrifying arena of raw talent and energy. Starting at 5:30 p.m., you'll be blown away by the incredible lineup of artists set to grace the stage, including Boise, Terra the Governor, Lil Natty and Thunder, Lava Man, Looney Spark and Electrify, Jab King, Lil Kerry, Lil Jello, Dash, Crave, Mozo, Scala, and many more. But that's not all. Prepare to be amazed by the traditional mask, Moko Jumbies, Jab Jab, Short Knee, and Veko. Plus, your reigning Panorama champs, Co-op Bank Comancheros, will also be there to add to the excitement. And the best part, it's completely free. The Stadium Car Park is the place to be on Friday, April 28th. Get ready for an epic night that you'll never forget. Spice Mass, the evolution.
At the NIS, our team proudly works to support the evolving needs of Grenadians. We have made some changes to our operations and want to keep you informed. Firstly, we are happy to introduce the new unemployment benefit. This benefit will provide an insured person with 50% of his or her former income in the case of sudden unemployment. To support this benefit and other benefits we offer, it was necessary to increase the contribution rate. The contribution rate will increase gradually each year until it reaches 16% in 2031. As always, the contribution will be split between you and your employer. The pensionable age will also increase from 60 to 65 years. This increase will also be gradually reaching age 65 in 2029. Pensioners will continue to be eligible for a pension from age 60, but will receive a reduced payment. The NIS recognizes that the prices of basic customer goods are increasing globally. Therefore, we are happy to also increase the weekly minimum pension payment by 25%. Finally, we have adjusted our survivor's benefit payment to a percentage of the age pension minimum. Widows, widowers, and dependent parents will receive 100% or $58 weekly, while children will receive 50% or $29 weekly of the deceased's pension. We are here to make the transition to these new changes as clear and simple as possible. If you have any questions on how these changes impact you and your family, please contact our new informational hotline at 440-6647 or visit www.nisgrenada.org. Thank you for allowing us to be your social security provider.